You know, that's a pretty long shaft. We might be okay, actually. That's what she said. What's up, creepers? And Geekers Chris, the Atari Creep. How is everyone doing today? Oh my goodness. Of course it's going to do that, right? There we go. We're going to talk about Indy 500 today. Not necessarily the game. Oh, come on, man. More so the controller and the absurdity of the controller. There we go. I want game 2. Because this is one of those games that you can play with yourself. One of the main things I could take away from this game, primarily, is that whenever we'd be at my buddy Pat's house, and we'd be like, hey, you want to play Atari? And I pulled this game out, they would all be like, let's go outside and play. And I think that's got a lot to do with the controller, and the fact that most people only had one. To my knowledge, anyway. I know, at least in my world, most houses only had one drive controller, which is kind of weird because this is mostly a two-player game. But the reason we're going to talk about the controller so much today, again, we've done a video, and I think I sent one of these to Brian's Man Cave a while back, is I want to talk about the absurdity of one controller, one game. And I'm pretty sure they had other, plans in the works for other games, or maybe they probably were going to. Come on, can we at least get 10? Are you shitting me? They were probably planning on other things to be used with this controller, but it never ended up happening. And I think there may be like one little off-brand game that may use it. I can't recall. Someone let me know in the corner. But here's the absurdity of this thing. I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, one game, one controller. How absurd, and I don't mean to keep using that word, but I bet you I can make it even fucking more absurd. And by absurd, I mean take this and turn it into this beautiful big beast. This is a project that's been in my head for, God, maybe like a year now. And I've been looking for the right donor piece, and I just couldn't find one that was either I'd be willing to spend money on, because, there's only so much money you want to spend on something like this, right? Or one that would work for me that I found in either a price or for free, But then we got that Power Wheels for the Droid build, and this just happened to be in there, so you know what? I think it's good enough, and I think it's going to work perfectly for our purposes. These are very simple devices. There's a button over here, and there's literally just, again, just for the sake of simplicity, we're going to call it a potentiometer, okay? I'm sure it's called something else in this specific application, but we're just going to call it a pot. Get over it if you don't like it. Move on with your life. But there's literally just a little dude in here. As a matter of fact, let's pull this off. Let's pull this off now. Oh, there, it's on there. It's on there. Ah, your mother. My initial thoughts were to take this, cut all this apart, and then glue it in there, and that, bam, it's already there. But we don't need to destroy this. I don't think so anyway. As long as I put some styrene over here and make it strong enough, I mean, that's a thick, I can just screw the potentiometer directly to this, and then I can hollow this out, right? And this just so happens to fit in there. You can't see that, but there's a lip right there, and it just fits perfectly. So with a slight bit of sanding, what I could do is I could hollow this whole thing out, and then slip that in there, and then on there it'll go. Simple. I say that now. But then I want to take it to the next level. I mean, we got to drive it, right? So I need to find a way to incorporate this. And the original piece I wanted to get had a steering wheel and like a shifter thing right here. So I think we're either going to have to build a shifter thing, or the Power Wheels did come with a pedal. So I think what we might do is we might just use that pedal and put it, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe I'll make it long enough to actually be on the floor and just make it like a legit steering driving setup like you would for your PlayStation or whatever. This bad Larry right here. Let me pull this in. Let me pull this in. I know what you're all thinking right now. You're all thinking, There's no fucking way he's even going to finish this. Guys, this is my focus until the end of the year. All right? I promise you that. I promise you that. This right here used to, you hit this and Barbie would be like, this was a Barbie Jeep, by the way, would come on and be like, hey, Ken, let's go for a ride. Or, you know, I don't know. Whatever. You get the idea. And there were two separate little songs here. There's a little device you can buy for like $3 online. Dirt cheap. That you can record up to 30 seconds, I think, of sound. And it's just a button. Basically, it's the same idea as what would be in a greeting card. My buddy uses it for his DL44 blasters. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to integrate that into here with each one of these buttons and wire them all up to the same speaker, which is in here, and have the songs from Outrun. How cool would that be? You'd be playing Indy 500, listening to Splash Wave. I don't even know if that one's Splash Wave or not. But yeah. So I think the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to start sanding on this, and I'm going to slam on the styrene on here and get it blended in. But let me get started on that. I'm not really going to show you the entire process of everything going on. I don't think you need to see me glue plastic to this and shape it. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think I'm going to put the styrene on the inside, because I can pack in this little crook, in these little crooks, some epoxy putty that I have. And that'll definitely make this strong enough for whatever. The first thing I want to do is make a template here. See if I cut this enough to get in there. All right, let's. It's kind of a odd angle. You're supposed to basically do this sideways and rubbing. I obviously can't get in here very well, so I'm going to have to just do this. That's fine. That's fine. I think that's close enough. Good enough for government work. If we have a little extra material, there's nothing wrong with that. That'll actually help out in the long run. Yeah, there we go. Good enough. Good enough. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer it to my styrene here. I'm going to allot a little bit more on this side because it was lacking when the paper was in there. Again, this is just to get an approximation. There we go. And if you can see how thick the styrene is, and regardless of how thick it is, this stuff still works really. It's very forgiving. You're just going to score it a couple times when you get them this thick anyway. Score it, and it just snaps right off like that. And then sanding it after the fact, so simple. So simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shape this with my Dremel outside, where we're probably going to primarily do most of this project. But we're not out there right now because there's these rocks on the other side of the driveway that's just below the porch. And little kids hang on those rocks. And I really just don't want to listen to them screaming and yelling while I'm on the, making a video for you guys here. This stuff is so easy to work with. I love styrene. You know where my buddy gets his styrene from? He's a courier for like a UPS style thing up in Canada. I don't know what the company's called, but he delivers to a couple Walmarts. You know the signs that have the numbers and all that on it, the rollback and all that? I guess those are styrene. And whenever he sees them in the trash, he grabs a bunch. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean this up a little bit with my Dremel, get some adhesives, slap that in there, and then we'll play around with the steering wheel. All right, and there we go. Good enough for government work. So I've already sanded the bottom of this. I believe this is 80 grit, I think. I don't remember. And all I'm going to do is I just want to give this a little bit of what they call tooth. Just scrape it up so the glue has something to actually grab onto. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use two different products to put this in here, because I really can't get a clamp in here. I might be able to find something to weigh it down with, but I'm going to use something else for insurance purposes, so to speak, to make sure that this thing isn't going to ever go anywhere. Because it really is going to have a lot of stress to it, so. And again, I'm going to load this up with epoxy putty and maybe some JB Weld or something to the effect. I don't know. But we're going to use E6000, which is an amazingly strong glue. It takes, you know, about 18 hours or so to completely set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some Loctite on it too. I'm going to dab this in like 4 or 5 different little spots. And then I'm going to use my fingers to smear a little of this on the rest of it. And then we're going to place this in there, hold it down until the super glue sets. I'm going to try to tape it down, but I really don't think I'm going to be able to get anything in there as a, you know, like a clamp or anything. So let's, nothing to it, but just do it, baby. There we go. Let me just, I'm going to put like a dot here. In fact, I'll do this whole line right there. Do this whole line, and then, you know, maybe one right here. One right here. Yeah. There we go. Now I got to open this friggin' thing up. Doesn't take a lot, so. It doesn't take a lot. As I grab a huge glob, right? All right, that's good enough. Because it's going to end up spreading out anyhow, so. Let me get this in there. I'll cut it so I can just slide it right on up in this piece. Actually, you know what? I bet you if I slide this back down a little, I put a little glue here, and slide it back in, that's going to seal it up in here. All right, perfect. I think that's fine. I'm going to hold this like this, and now we'll get to cutting up the steering wheel. Luckily for me, to get it at least started, this piece comes off. And we will not be doing the building here. Everybody's home right now. There. So I'm thinking about just hollowing all that out. Just cutting this off first with my cutoff wheel. And then going from there. I did notice one little flaw in my design is there's a recess here now. I should have thought of that, but that's all right. That's all right. This is part of the build process. This is the part that's fun, right? This thing is no joke. Very important. All right, so this is what I'm left with here. It's going to get cleaned up more. I got to cut more out of it. In fact, I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. I might have to rethink how we're going to attach this because of this depth. I don't know. Ideally, I should be able to slip this in. It goes in a little bit, right? I mean, I could do it this way. I could do it this way. But then I have all this to contend with. So ideally, I'm going to grind this out a little bit more. I kind of stopped because my neighbors have their porch door open and they're trying to watch the game. So I figured I'd give them a little reprieve from my buzzing. But I'm going to keep hitting this with my Dremel very, very carefully until I can slip this in just far enough to where it's going to work here. I'm definitely going to either have to open this up or remove some of this material, leaving this as kind of like a nipple almost, if you can picture that. And hopefully it won't look too silly being too deep in there. The idea is to keep this so, you know, you can recognize it for what it's supposed to be. But I'm going to sit there and leave it like that for the rest of the day. I promise you we will be working on this vigorously. In fact, I'm putting everything aside for this. You may get a game video here and there, of course, but I'm focusing mainly my time on this thing to get it done. I want it done before the holidays. So depending on my enthusiasm, it could be done by the end of this coming week. But either way, guys, I hope you're excited to see where this goes. I was originally going to do it in one big long video, but I think it'd be best just to do this. So guys, let me know what you think. If you have any ideas, leave them in the comments. And that's it. Guys, wherever in the world you are, I hope you're doing well. Thank you always so much for watching. And until next time, take care. Creep it real. And bye-bye.